Horror Stories for Halloween. Written by Tony Walker and narrated by Tony Walker. My Niece Alison by Tony Walker. My niece Alison was always a strange girl. My brother, before he died, called her otherworldly, and when he'd gone, I felt a responsibility for her. She had too many tragedies too young, losing her mother, and now her father at such an age. My wife Laura felt sorry for her but never actually liked her, even when she was tiny. She said there was something about Alison that unnerved her, though she could never explain exactly why. Alison and I always got along well, though. We were both into spiritual things, and I used to take her to the Buddhist place up past Langham on meditation courses. We even went to the spiritualist church 4 or 5 times. She got messages from the dead, but I didn't. All that stuff used to drive Laura nuts. She used to say, "I don't even know why you go." And I'd reply, "Because I want to know the answer." "The answer to what?" I knew she'd think me stupid, but I said, "The answer to what happens after you die." Laura just rolled her eyes and told me it was tea time. The years rolled on. Against my better judgment, Alison went a long way away to university. I wasn't sure she was emotionally tough enough to go where she knew no one, but she insisted. She went to study fine art at Aberystwyth, and I heard nothing from her until the end of October, just before Halloween. The phone call came late at night, just before midnight. I was up reading. Phones that ring in the middle of the night usually bring bad news, so I was relieved when Alison said, "It's me, Uncle David." Her voice sounded very distant. She wished me a belated happy birthday and apologized for not sending a card. Her problem was that she was moving from the town to a farmhouse she'd rented, and she had no car. Would I come and help her move? It was about 200 miles away, and a difficult time of the year, but, as I said, we had always got on. I arranged to travel down the last week in October. Laura wasn't happy. I asked her whether she wanted to come down with me, joking that maybe we could have a rainy break in Wales. She said, "We live in Cumbria, David. We have sheep, mountains, lakes and rain here. Why would I want to go to Wales?" I set off on the 30th of October from Penrith. I have a big estate car, and I took very little, so there would be more room for Alison's things. I drove down the M6. The rain on the motorway was terrible, large trucks spraying water across my windscreen. My only comfort when overtaking blind was that I was relatively sure there wouldn't be any traffic coming towards me. I stopped for a sandwich near Manchester. Just short of an hour after that, I crossed the border, passing the Welcome to Wales sign, and heading down through mid-Wales to Llanidloes. Quick to describe, but long to drive in the unfriendly weather. The landscape all around was a washed-out green. I drove past woods stripped bare by the oncoming winter. Small towns sped past. Having my foot always on the accelerator gave me cramp. I found somewhere to park, got out, stretched and strolled over to get an organic coffee and some hummus on toast at the Great Oak Cafe, which was the only place open. And after that, going through the Cambrian mountains, the weather was appalling, worse than it had been. I feared the mountain streams tumbling down the hillsides would break their banks and wash away the road. I was prepared at any time to run into floods as I headed west along the A44. My windscreen wipers could hardly keep the rain off. Not surprisingly, there was little traffic. The day was dark, and the light faded early. Soon, all I had was the sinuous road snaking through the bare hills, cat's eyes in the road glinting with my reflected headlights, asphalt shining in the rain. Occasionally, another vehicle came in the opposite direction, but they were few and far between. After what seemed a long time peering forward into the receding dark, I reached an Antararian forest centre and found it was closed for the winter break. There being nowhere else to stop, I went on and began to descend gradually towards the coast. I had Alison's address, and I had written out rudimentary directions from the map I studied before I set off. We didn't have Google Maps in those days. It was very remote. Basically, I had to go all the way into Aberystwyth and then back up into the mountains. It would have been shorter as the crow flew from where I was, but there were no crows flying that night. I arrived at Aberystwyth quickly enough on the main
Sample complete. Ready to continue?